I will tell you a story of how the farmers are actually the frontliners during this crisis, especially in securing food security in the Philippines. It was mid of March 2020 when our president announced a total lockdown of Metro Manila. And Metro Manila has around 13 million people. Almost overnight, the entire metro were in lockdown. People are actually chaotic left and right. There were people who were panic buying and hoarding, and there were also empty shelves. While farmers, on the other hand, are problematic where to send their produce because it was entering summer, the peak of harvest, and all the markets are closed. Restaurants, hotels, supermarkets, and wet markets are closed for the lockdown. Every day since that lockdown announcement, every corner of the streets have police and military checkpoints, and it was so hard to actually bring the produce of the farmers to Metro Manila. And every day we received calls for help from our farmers on how we can bring the produce from their farms to the city where people are actually looking for fresh produce. And one day, there was a pineapple farmer, and this pineapple farmer is actually revolutionary. He did not stop calling and texting my number to ask for help. He said in one of our calls, "Can you please help me? I borrowed money from the bank to pay for my pineapple production, and the harvest of this pineapple is actually about to pay the graduation fee of my daughter. And now I don't have a market. I have loaned money from the bank and I have no money to actually pay the graduation of my daughter. Can you please help us?" So lo and behold, since I'm so passionate about helping farmers for the last 22 years, a life dedicated to working in the agriculture sector, I couldn't sleep, and I called my entire team and said, "I think we need to step up. This is the best time to step up, and this is the best time to actually be true to our mission to help the farmers in the Philippines." And I never got a no from my team members because I totally understand that everyone has the heart to help the farmers. So what happened? That one pineapple farmer is now revolutionizing around 20,000 farmers in our platform when we launched the Move Food initiative. It's a movement of bringing food from the farmers all over the Philippines. We actually ship food from from Mindanao, which is the food basket, and we're also flying food through airplanes when the total lockdown was actually a little bit lifted. So right now, this Move Food initiative actually not only impacted more than 20,000 farmers, but also saved almost 200 metric tons of fruits and vegetables that's supposed to rot in farmers' fields if not saved. And right now, we're so happy that we actually delivered to more than 70,000 households in Metro Manila and also donated food to our frontliners, doctors, nurses, security guards, and hospital personnel, around 4,500 of them, who actually also benefited with our donations of fresh foods and vegetables in their cafeterias. But more than that, we actually acknowledge the fact that during the transport, because it was so difficult, it was a total nightmare to transport the food from the farmers. There was no infrastructure support. And what you observe pre-COVID-19 pandemic, the post-harvest loss of our farmers was actually 35%. And during this pandemic, it reached around 75 to 80%. And what did we do? We launched the AGREA Rescue Kitchen in support to the Move Food initiative. And the AGREA Rescue Kitchen, we partnered with chefs to actually process goods from the farmers and make it into jams, soups, and sauces and other products so that we can value add to the farmers' produce. But more than that, we also make sure that our consumers would eat healthy. So all our products in the AGREA Rescue Kitchen are actually focusing on seasonality of the fruits and vegetables. It should be artisanal. We work with local artisans and local chefs to actually support and source local. It should be intentional. There's an intention to create impact both on the producers to save their produce and the consumers to have access to fresh foods and vegetables. And lastly, it should be limited. We provide limitation on how the production should only be in small batches so that it's very, very good for our consumers also. So right now, actually ARC, or the AGREA Rescue Kitchen, won an award in the social gastronomy movement of the world, and we're so happy that this little initiative that started by one pineapple farmer call actually is now helping a lot of people. With this entire work in Move Food Initiative and AGREA Rescue Kitchen, the most impactful, I guess, to me was a call from a watermelon farmer. One Friday morning, I received a message from this watermelon farmer asking for help, and I replied to the message right away. But this watermelon farmer did not reply to me. 2 days after, he replied, and then I asked him, "Why did you not reply? I thought you need help." He said, "I need to walk 2 kilometers away to get a cell phone signal. And here I am, always complaining when Wi-Fi is low or when cellular data is low." And this farmer is actually not even complaining that he needs to walk 2 kilometers just to get a cell phone signal. And that morning, I was talking to this farmer, and then he said, "You need to help me because I have this watermelon and I don't know where to go. It feeds 40 families in our village when we get income from this watermelon." So I asked the farmer if he knows how much is his watermelon, how many is his watermelon, and how he can bring it to the market in Metro Manila. He has no answer because this farmer doesn't even know how to compute his income from the watermelon, how to price his watermelon, and how to bring his watermelon in the market. So it was one Sunday afternoon that I was on a call with this farmer together with his son to actually compute how much watermelon they have and teaching them everything until they can bring it to the market. And then they bring it to the market and we help them save their watermelon, and the entire community earned income from that one. I think, the importance of food security during this COVID-19 pandemic is very, very important. And I always believe that feeding people is the most essential business. And nourishing our human capital is the most essential thing that we need to focus during this pandemic, where everyone needs to be healthy, needs to have access to good quality food, and also needs to have maintenance for their source of income. So I'm so happy that our initiative in AGREA that gave birth to Move Food Initiative and the AGREA Rescue Kitchen is actually an epitome of change during this pandemic. It inspires a lot of people in the Philippines, not only farmers, but more so our government, to actually widen the radar on how the private, public, and civil society can work together. So for me, food security is the core and the nexus on how we can move forward, feeding our people with the right food and helping one another to be enlightened individuals on how we can survive this pandemic and beyond, with a very, very strong heart and how we can bounce back better. Thank you so much for hearing our story from the Philippines and for sharing with you the beautiful, inspiring stories of our farmers.